All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna work on the window. So the window print, obviously we see the window, but below we're gonna change how they put the sill, because they have it so the sill only stretches from the two cripples. We're gonna have it overlap them, because that's gonna give us more to glue to. It's gonna hold it in place better, and then obviously structurally it would make more sense. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Whoops. Okay, so I crossed off their little line and I'm gonna extend it all the way out to that full stud. All right, so we're gonna do that for both sides. Okay, now, sorry, my makeshift camera. I've got my phone balancing on a stack of things. All right, anyway, over here we've got the airspace. So all the rest of the studs make sense as the layout. Here we have the last stud that follows the 16-inch on center. We should have one of airspace and then two doubled up studs. All right, now totally up to you how you want to start. I'm gonna work with the window and then work outward, or start with the window and then work outward. Okay, so I have my plates, my top and bottom. Again, we're leaving off the double for now. So I'm gonna try to get that as close to where I need it. Okay, so it should be overlapping the lines fairly perfectly. Right, so there's the top plate, and then I can always adjust the pins as I'm putting more things in. Like the tension will help on like the inside. So I'm gonna do it across the bottom as well. Okay, so I've got my bottom plate, I got my top plate. Now I'm gonna start filling in the window. So, I've got, I'll probably start with the last king stud. So I'm gonna put glue on it just like I would that we've done all the others. All right, so I'm gonna get that in there. Okay, so I'm gonna be moving pretty quickly. So I'm just gonna put pins on the outside of it, so like the left-hand side, because soon I'm gonna start putting all the window materials in, so it doesn't make sense to put pins that I'm gonna have to move when I do the next piece. Whoa. All right, so maybe that doesn't make sense. We'll see. I'm gonna put two down here so that doesn't shift again. All right, so I wanna keep that tight, as tight to the line underneath it as you can. All right, so next I'm gonna have a cripple on the bottom. Now, I laid all this stuff out so I remember which pieces are which. But I'm gonna have a cripple here. I have my sill, I have another cripple or trimmer, depending. And then the headers here, let's actually do that next. Okay, it's gonna be same as before. I have two of the 2x6 material. I'm gonna glue those together. And then I'm gonna glue that horizontal 2x4 underneath it, just like we did for the door. Okay, so I've got those two glued together, and I'm sorry, I'll try to edit that out. Okay, so I'll glue those two together. Right, so I glued these two together. Whoops, there you go. I glued those two together. So that's the 2x6 material. I glued the two headers together. I'm gonna glue the sill. Well, it's not really a sill. It's gonna be on the top. But that's gonna go underneath the header. Okay, and then that's gonna go right here. So I think I'm gonna try to put that in place and then fill in the rest. Since I have some openings there, it might be easier because I can get more pins in there. So here's one of those times it's gonna be important that you did cut everything to length. Because if one is longer than the other, when I go to put in the next stud over here, it's not gonna touch. So even mine isn't perfect. I'm gonna go try to shave some of that off on the bottom. So I used some sandpaper. I'm gonna put a little bit more glue because I think I just wiped most of that off. Okay, and then I've got my next king stud I'm gonna put right here. So I've got those. Those will be able to stay pretty much where I need them to. I'm gonna put glue on the inside of this, glue on the top, and then glue on the bottom. And line that up. Put a pin here so it forces that to the inside. Put a pin here, and as well as the bottom. Okay, so all of those things look like they're lining up fairly well. I'm gonna move this pin and put a little bit more force against that stud. Okay, so now I kind of have it framed out that I can start putting in more and more pieces. So here, I'll do the cripples at the top. Now, the smaller the piece of wood, the harder it's gonna be to place it. Just try your best. Anytime you're putting two pieces of wood together, make sure you're putting glue on the insides. All right, so I put glue in there. I'm gonna sandwich them together. All right, so I wanna make sure they're flush. And then I'm gonna put a pin in there. All right, I'm gonna work down the wall. So we've got that, and you don't have to do it in the order I am. Okay, and then next I'm going to put in the windowsill. So I'm going to put some glue on the edge. I'm also going to put a little glue on the top so it glues to the board that's going to be sitting on it. Right, and we're going to fill this in. Now, the reason the plans were probably different, these were kits, we purchased, okay, and it's supposed to symbolize a shed. So structurally, okay, it's not like the shed is gonna have a second story to it and so on. So that might be why the plan was different. And then whoops. Okay, so I put glue on the inside. I'm gonna glue those together. I'm gonna put another pin underneath them. I know I sent 2 things of pins home, but if for some reason you're getting low, you could let some of this dry and then come back and try to fill in like the other half. Okay, so we've got that. Those are pinned together. And then you're basically doing the same thing now to the other side. Can you even see what I've got going on with all those pins? Whoops. Okay, so I probably have most of that glue smeared off, but it's wedged in there pretty good. You do want to make sure that it isn't too tall. Yeah, so I mean, it probably is. I probably need to shorten it, because notice how putting that board in lifted it off the 2 ends. All right, so I've got a little sandpaper right here. I'm gonna sand it down a little. All right, so that's why it's important that we do cut it to the right size. Okay, so that looks better. It's still maybe a little bit tall. All right, and it's a little bit crooked. Oops. And then I'm gonna put some glue on the inside. Last 2 cripples at the bottom. Now this is our 4th wall. I think you could fill in the rest. I'll do the same that I did before and give you that final picture to show you what it looks like. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put glue on the inside. there is the wall, or sorry, the window portion of this wall. Right, yeah, I'm not gonna make you watch the rest of it. You know what you should know how to put in the rest of the studs by now. Once I'm done, I'll take the finished picture so you can see it.